City. Look out!
Puts it the right hand side. Jordan Rapallo.
But it's Murray's time in the sunshine of centre court once again.
He's got it. The Tigers have won by a point.
Hello and welcome to the Final Score, where if it's happened over the past week in sport, we're going to be talking about it. Val Febo here with you on Monday, the 5th of September. We're here in spring in sunny Melbourne. Well, I think it's sunny at the moment. I'm not too sure. I've been inside for a little bit. But Joel Frucci, first panellist here with me today. Mate, how you going?
Very well, mate. How are you?
I'm very, very good, mate. And your sporting moment of the week?
Well, Essendon VFL, a rare highlight for Essendon this year, but they absolutely flew home in their elimination final against Geelong, kicked 9-3 in the last quarter, overturned a 16-point gap to win by 22-point gap to win by 16, including 5 goals in 7 minutes. And the highlight of that, Big Aaron Francis kicking a huge bomb from 60 metres. One for the future.
Yeah, he played very, very well. It was a really interesting game of footy, and Essendon started really well with 31 points up at quarter time, and then Geelong stormed back and got the lead. And it's been was a topsy-turvy game on all levels, so unbelievable result for the Bombers, and to finish 8th and get through to the semi-finals, great effort. Ryan, the Prophet Tennyson, is here, one of my co-hosts on Breakpoint Podcast, Herald Sun worker as well. He's been smashing down the barriers. How you going, mate?
Good, thanks, brother.
And happy birthday, mate. 21 years old today.
Yeah, I feel it. I definitely feel all 21 years.
Well, you look 18.
Oh, please.
What was your moment of the week, mate?
For me, it was definitely in the NRL. The Melbourne Storm beating Cronulla and claiming the minor premiership, and hopefully on their way to the big one. And be a fantastic match, and it was fun to watch.
Yep, definitely, and we'll get to that the NRL afterwards. And Josh Campbell also here, one of my good mates. We love looking at each other. How you going, mate?
We do. We have a fond attraction at looking in each other's eyes during the podcast.
Yeah, we do. How you going, mate?
Not too bad, as Rudy gags over the other side of the podcast. How you going? My highlight of the week was Anastasia Sevastova, who made her first ever quarterfinal at a Grand Slam, knocking over Johanna Konta and the number 3 seed Garbine Muguruza on the way to it as well. Very impressive.
Yeah, she did very, very well today. And with the tennis, she's on her way to the quarterfinals, so she'd be very, very pleased with her result.
Not a high pedigree of tennis for Latvia, is it?
No, and we've discussed that a lot on Breakpoint, so we'll get to that on Wednesday, definitely. And Rudy Edsel is also here, mate. Greenfield Post, Triple M, works there as well. You're doing everything, mate.
I am. Thank you.
How you going?
Yeah, good.
That's the way.
Tried to drink all the beer in Melbourne on the weekend, so few cobwebs, but we'll pull through.
Sounds good, mate. What was your moment of the week?
George Bailey getting named man of the series in the recently finished Sri Lanka-Australia one-dayers. He's made 270 runs, averages 67.5, and it's renewed chat for him to come into the test side for the upcoming tour of India. I'm not sure that will necessarily happen, but it's just great for the 33-year-old, the wily old campaigner to get some dues.
Couldn't have happened to a better bloke as well.
No, that's right.
Nah, he's awesome. Human. We love George Bailey on this show, and I think most people in Australia do. But my moment quickly of the week, another tennis one, Dr. Ivo Karlovic getting through to the 4th round of the US Open. I'm still in a bit of shock. He's 37 years old and continues to battle on.
How many break points has he faced on the way there?
I don't know. I've got to look that up for Wednesday, so we'll definitely discuss a lot more of that. But we've got on Saturday night, the AFL women's match was on during the bye weekend, and Whitten Oval took to centre stage here, and it was a lot of people turned out. It was a pretty good crowd. A lot of people enjoyed it, and we've got Anna Harrington from Fox Footy on the line with us here to talk more about the game. Anna, how are you going? Thank you for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, Val. It's a pleasure to be on.
No problems at all. Tell us quickly about the game. It was the Western Bulldogs taking on Melbourne. Tell us about the game and what happened during.
Yeah, so essentially it was an all-star match. So all those players that we've seen listed as marquees from Collingwood, Carlton, Adelaide, Freo, everywhere, went back to those 2 original clubs, the Western Bulldogs of Melbourne, for, as I said, an all-star match. Bulldogs actually prevailed this time. It was pretty close early days. Melbourne worked their way back into it, but the Dogs really looked a better side. And there's been plenty of press around MO, and I hope booted 4 goals in the 3rd quarter to break that game open. And yeah, the Dogs ended up running away with it, but ultimately it's just a really good show of football. And I think it was just so. We had just under 6,500 people at Whitten Oval there, and it thrived in the ratings as well. I think the peak audience was just over 1 million viewers nationwide, and in Melbourne it had 387,000, which is the best Saturday night performance that Sevens had from a game all year. So, yeah, real success. Something good to come out of that bye weekend.
And why do you think the ratings were so high for the women's game?
I think partly it is going to be a matter of the time was freed up. People were hungry for footy. I think people have been complaining about the bye round timing. It just took away a bit of momentum. But it's partly that. But also people were just excited. There's been a lot of good press about it. All the best players are going to be playing. It was actually really well marketed and promoted. I think the key is it was given a prime time slot, 7:10 p.m. bounce on a Saturday night. The only one that's really better than that is your Friday night in terms of getting ratings. So I think it's partly just people are interested, people will tune in, and also just people, especially in Melbourne, love their sport. And women's sport also just has that ability to tap into another audience. You're getting girls and women tune in who might not necessarily be interested in AFL, but yeah, ultimately it's a combination of just having control over that time slot and just the hype and interest that's been brought on. And yeah, the past has shown that these women can actually play to a really high standard.
Fantastic. And you mentioned Moana Hope, she kicked 6 goals and won best on ground. Who else for the two teams stood out during the game?
Yep, a few players that I would suggest that people keep an eye on going forward. Ellie Blackburn was really strong through the midfield for the Dogs, just a very good inside midfielder. She's a very consistent performer. Katie Brennan, strong up forward. Didn't actually kick only the 1 goal, I think, but she had 8 marks, went through the middle, had 5 clearances. Taylor Harris was playing for the Bees, and she's got that really iconic straight kicking style that's really gone viral on social media. Beautiful soft hands. Her goal kicking was a little bit off. Darcy Vesio is going to play for Carlton next year. A good high marking, really smart player. She had 3 goals and set up a few. And then Brianna Davey, who used to play for the Matildas as a goalkeeper. She was very strong in defence, sort of that real rebounding, high marking, reading the play well and setting things up. So there was a lot to really like about it. And the conditions and the fact that there was only 16 aside, I think just allowed that extra bit of space and time for some of these players to operate in and really show what they can do at a high intensity.
Fantastic. And also, there's a lot of skepticism about the game, and a lot of people have said that they don't really want to watch women's football. What's your response to that?
I think it's really... there's always going to be a certain group that are never going to be open to things like women's sport. That's just not something they're interested in, and you're probably not going to be able to reason with them. My thoughts on that is, the numbers really do tell the tale. A lot of people tuned in, a lot of people headed along. People are clicking through the stories about women's sport and they're taking an interest. If people aren't interested in that, they're really the ones getting left behind. I know, I went to Whitten Oval on the weekend and I saw the grandstand packed. It was an absolutely electric atmosphere. There were little girls, little boys, and there were old fans, young fans, all along there and having a great time and really enjoying it. I think it's going to really thrive with the time slot that's been put in that sort of February, March time, because people are just so hungry for footy and footy content, and that I think it'll actually go really well. So you will always have those people that don't rate women's sport or don't want to watch it, and they like to tell everyone how much they don't want to watch it. But I don't know, I think the stats sort of tell the tale on that one, and people are clearly tuning in and they're paying attention.
Anna Harrington, thank you so much for coming on The Final Score today. It was brilliant to have your insight onto the game and to have someone that was actually there and talking to us about it. And have a nice day. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No problems. Anna Harrington there from Fox Footy joining us here on The Final Score today. Talking about the women's game, the Bulldogs winning 90-51. Moana Hope was fantastic, and I think that definitely, guys, she's going to be one to look for over the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, I think she became the women's footy's most marketable asset on the weekend. To be honest, Daisy Pearce has always been the face of it, but Moana Hope, she was just electric. She was so all eyes were on her at all times. She's got that real Collingwood
she does.
look with the tats and stuff. But when she kicked her 6th goal, she bowed to the crowd. And that's the kind of thing that people are going to latch onto with women's footy.
She's got a star factor about her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing people will latch onto with women's footy, like big personalities like that.
Yeah,
that's
she got sort of the Buddy Franklin effect I guess, maybe for women's
big
footy.
Big time. And she's got a fascinating story too. She has a sister that she looks after at home, and she gets up at 3 a.m. and does all her work and stuff. And that's kind of the thing about women's footy. Like the flip side of perhaps a lower standard of play is the fact that these women are not yet professionals, and they all have jobs that they go to. Like Daisy Pearce is famously a midwife. So I think. If we can continue to get eyes on the game, show that it's viable, like Anna said, 6,500 people there, and then a massive ratings. If we can start to pay these players a little bit more than the $5,000 the AFL's offered them.
Yeah, it's not really much, is it?
No, not really. I think it's a 22-week commitment
for $5,000. It's not really.
Yeah,
not really going to do it, is it?
It's not really okay. That's a different discussion. But I think if it can continue to be viable, then
that'll increase, of course.
The sport will professionalise, and then the standard will come with that. And I think it's a really exciting time to be a woman in sport in Australia in particular.
Well, Rudy, so you must agree with Anna's comments about women's sport then?
Of course. Yep. I think it's a massive growth market. The Women's Big Bash League pioneered that. They showed that last season where they had those massive crowds at the MCG, heaps of eyes on them on TV as well. Skeptics will say, that's only because they schedule it favourably. Why wouldn't they schedule it favourably? Why would they stick it on a Wednesday night? And you know what I mean. Like, why wouldn't they try and make their commercial assets as viable as possible? I just think it's a fantastic time for women in sport in general.
Yep, definitely, I agree with you there. But women's tennis we've seen is probably the most popular, if not maybe soccer as well, or football. Joel, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's football though.
But do you got
netball's pretty big in terms of popularity.
Yeah, and netball as well. But do we see women's AFL taking leaps out of the books of those? And even Rudy mentioned the Women's Big Bash League. So do we see women's AFL taking the leaps and bounds that those sports have taken?
Well, I think with what Anna Harrington said about the viewership and how it had an average of more viewers than all Saturday night football games proved that without a doubt there's a market for it and people are willing to see it. And they were very excited about watching the game and how fantastic I thought their skill level was.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you're talking about women's sport, it's come a long way, and I think we probably should be a bit more developed in I think the way that it's treated. I think there's a lot of women's sport, like you look at the Matildas, a lot of them have second jobs. Yeah, and it took the Matildas, quite a lot of steel to actually get the pay increase that they were after in the collective bargaining agreement last year.
Yeah, that was they called off a tour of America, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They basically said we're serious about this.
That was quite an unprecedented move.
Deservedly so.
Especially you consider the Melbourne City women, they do get paid quite well now, so they're sort of when they play for City, and then the Matildas aren't paying them properly, they sort of they
and a lot of the Matildas are in that team too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's Melbourne City are almost an example for women's sporting organisations. I do remember sitting in on a press conference with Jess Fishlock last season, and she said that Melbourne City were absolutely just leaving the rest of the competition in their wake.
Absolutely,
in terms of,
they absolutely are. They're pretty much bringing professionalism to women's soccer in Australia by themselves, and that's incredibly. That's worthy of applause.
Well, yeah, the women's match was a success. And we had Steph Chiocci from the Melbourne. Was it Melbourne?
The Doggies.
The Doggies. Sorry, wrong team. But she had this to say after the game.
Steph, talk us through the atmosphere of the game tonight. It was Saturday night under lights here at Whitten Oval with 6,000 people watching. How did that feel?
It was amazing, and 6,000 people felt like 30,000 people, and the turf was great. The weather held off. They looked after us, the gods up there, the footy gods, and it was fantastic. And the atmosphere was just electric, and the girls are still scratching themselves.
Yeah, so that was from the Doggies website.
Doggies website there, fantastic there. And so it was I think you could definitely call that a great success. And maybe next year, if there, God forbid, another bye round, but if there is another one, I think women's football will take centre stage again there. Quickly though, finals is this week. This is what we've all been waiting for. The finals to start the bye weekend, which we will get to after. I want to get some predictions from you guys. So let's go. We'll go around. We've got Thursday night football. This is interesting in itself. Thursday night for a final. We have seen Thursday night football has been quite successful over the past 2 seasons, but
I'd be furious about this if I was someone from WA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a 6:10 start over there.
I think this should be on the Saturday night.
Yeah, it's pretty much the AFL is pretty much openly saying to people on the West Coast, we don't care about you going to the game. We just care about TV ratings on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I think it's really poor.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's 6:10 start over there. They finish work probably 5 o'clock.
I can see a lot of Western Australians calling in a sickie on Thursday.
yeah. So yeah, if you work in the CBD in Perth, I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be at work. But predictions for this game: West Coast and the Western Bulldogs. They got the home final because they beating Adelaide. What an unbelievable result that was. The Dogs would be spewing that they have to travel to Perth again, and after losing to Freo there, their confidence wouldn't be that great. So we'll start off with you, Rudy. Are we going? Do you think West Coast here?
It's hard to mount a case for the Bulldogs, and I've been trying to because I quite like them. But
I think everybody does.
Yeah, they've sort of limped to the finals. They've limped all season, to be fair. It's been a remarkable achievement to get to where they did with the injuries they had, but they've struggled to play Perth. They're really young. People sort of forget that because they're so good. They're struggling to score. Their forward line's fallen apart, especially with Jack Redpath out. I just can't make a case for the Bulldogs here. I think West Coast will probably win comfortably.
Yeah, definitely. Josh?
Yeah, I'd have to make the same prediction. I think West Coast, the flat track bullies, they're just way too strong at home. I could see them winning by 8 or 9 goals probably in the end.
Yep. Ryan?
Well, I'm going to, on the flip side, I think the Bulldogs can do this. I reckon a lot of people are underdoing them. They've got an absolute breakout superstar in Bontempelli, who I think is fit and firing for these finals. I would not be surprised if a huge effort by him can just, and a few of the others, the role players around him as well, like the Boyds and so on, can step up as well, and they could sneak through a couple of goals and maybe steal it away from West Coast.
Yep. Joel?
Oh, I'm going to have to disagree with you, Ryan. I think even the Doggies' best won't get it done. When you look at West Coast in the last 3 weeks, they've beaten GWS, Hawthorn and Adelaide, and that's quite a finish to the season.
There's an interesting conversation to be had here about the bye.
Does it hold momentum?
Well, yeah, does it? For the West Coast? Like, obviously, West Coast's been one of the best teams in the last 3 weeks.
And Bulldogs get the week off.
Yeah, so it pretty much only, in this instance, the West Coast would be pretty annoyed, I reckon.
Well, a few clubs would.
So, yeah.
A few clubs would.
Even Geelong.
Geelong, Sydney, GWS all had good wins. Hawthorn would be wrapped, I think, and it's worked into their favour.
Definitely, yeah.
But
weird that.
Yeah, always. But yeah, I agree with I'm going against the profit here. I'm not sure why, but I think the Eagles are going to get up here. But Geelong Hawthorn, this is probably the marquee match of the weekend. The old rivals, the best teams of the last 8 years, going head to head in a qualifying final. Rudy, you're nervous. What do you think's going to happen?
All season long, I've been praying for this exact scenario. My hope for Geelong this season was that play Hawthorn week 1, beat them, and then have Hawthorn take out Sydney on the other side, make a grand final, and beat them again. And then it became a reality, and I didn't want it at all. I was wrong. I was wrong about that. Really, really wrong. I was the biggest Collingwood fan ever last week.
Yeah, I think most people were.
Yep. But yeah, I think looking at it as objectively as I can, I think the two teams genuinely don't like each other. Geelong are a better side. In those instances, the better side rarely loses. So I think Geelong will win, but I just want the game to be over. Like, I just want to go to sleep now and then wake up knowing what the result is. I just don't want to live the next 4 days. I just want the game done.
It'd be good, wouldn't it? But so that's one for Geelong. Josh?
I reckon this is, out of the 4 games, this is easily the closest, because I don't think that the Giants have a shot against Sydney. But
really?
We'll get that later. Yeah, I would have Geelong probably winning by less than 2 goals. And
Another close one.
I would think they'll come back. I reckon at 3/4 time, Hawthorn's going to be up. Rudy's going to have a mini heart attack. And then Geelong's going to come back to win.
You sounded like a dog then. Ryan?
I'm going against the grain again. I don't know what you're all thinking. The September specials. Hang on, what are you going? Oh, geez, they've won the past 3 premierships.
Yeah, but they've
please don't be ridiculous. I mean, Hawthorn will come in here and they'll probably win this by about 8 goals. They know how to play September football and they know how to win when it matters most.
Rudy just fainted. Joel?
It's tough to pick with my head. I think they're pretty much level, and Hawthorn are always going to be there or thereabouts. So I'm going to tip with my heart and my complete disdain for Hawthorn and say Geelong are going to win.
Fantastic. And I'm going for the Cats as well. I reckon they're going to get up. It's going to be a good game of footy, but I think in the crucial moments, I think Geelong will be better.
Ryan is one man flying solo here.
Yeah, and Sydney GWS. This one, ANZ Stadium, so neutral venue. I'm excited about this game. I reckon the Giants are a shot, but Rudy?
Sydney are the best team in it by far.
Yep.
But GWS can do them. And I really think that playing this game at ANZ is...
Yeah.
I really think that levels the playing field.
Yep, I think so.
Sydney deserve to be favourites, but I really, really like the Giants here. I think they're a huge show. They're going to come in full of beans, full of momentum, and I really think that they're a chance. I really, really think they're a chance. I'm tentatively tip them.
Definitely. Josh, I know you said they don't have a shot,
Yep.
so.
Sydney by about 10 goals.
Oh, wow, big one. Ryan, do you agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe not quite the huge margin, but I think Sydney will get over the line. A little bit too classy.
Joel?
Sydney, not by 10 goals, but the finals experience will get them over the line.
Yeah, I've got GWS winning this one. I'm going, I'm
How?
agreeing with
Why?
Rick.
Give me one reason.
I just think, I don't know, it's their first final. They're an exciting bunch. You know, they've got that little bit of experience with Stevie J, Shane Mumford and Heath Shaw, just in each area of the ground.
Yeah.
Kellen Ward as well has some finals experience, and Phil Davis is quite a good player as well. So I just reckon they're a chance.
I'm with you. I'm with you as well, and I feel like they can really expose Sydney's weaknesses.
Open spaces.
Well, open space. They're quite an old back line, aside from Dane Rampy, I suppose. If you can get the ball in quick, Jeremy Cameron and Jonathan Patton, Rory Lobb, up against Ted Richards and Grundy. Oh boy, I really think that GWS.
Flip it on the other side, you've got Buddy and their powerhouse.
You do have
midfield
Buddy.
in Sydney.
They do.
Yeah,
They've got a powerhouse midfield, but GWS's midfield.
They
doesn't
will be a
I'm
powerhouse.
cooking them. But,
So
no
I
way.
think it's going to be I reckon this is going to be a clash for the ages. And what a fitting way to what a fitting team to play your first ever final against your crosstown rivals.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to get up for.
The reason this final series is so exciting is because anyone in the top four can
genuinely win.
can play against each other. I think Geelong can't beat Sydney. I think
at the G
Hawthorn
they can.
Yeah, but maybe at the G they
At
can.
the G
I
they
don't
can.
think Hawthorn can beat Geelong, but I think GWS can beat Geelong. I think GWS can beat Sydney.
Yeah.
I think all of those other teams can beat each other, and I think it's
It's exciting.
I'm pretty
Just
excited.
very quickly before we get to the final game. Breaking news from Punt Road. Peggy O'Neill, the Richmond president, has announced that she will hold a press conference at 4 p.m. After the emerging reports of the prospective board wanting the current president to stand down. So Peggy O'Neill, president of Richmond, bit of turmoil at Tigerland here.
That's a shock.
And I am all for this.
Well,
I'm all for
something
her
needs
standing.
something needs.
Oh,
change.
I'm all.
Something's got to give.
I'm all for her standing down. To be honest, as a Richmond supporter for 20 years, I've got grey hairs, so it's something needs to change. They need, if there's talks about them getting Neil Baum for footy operations, and he's done wonders with Geelong.
Nothing
Collingwood,
can
so.
justify their efforts against Sydney.
Oh no, nothing.
Did you say Neil Baum?
Was
Is
it-
that the talk of Neil Baum coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So
Makes
that'd be,
sense. Yeah.
that'd be a very, very good pickup if they can get him in their
he's-
footy
he's
department, because he's done wonders at many
Definitely,
clubs.
he's definitely frustrated at Collingwood, and I'm pretty sure he wants out of there.
Yep.
So that makes sense.
So we'll see what happens there. So press conference at 4 p.m. Breaking news there from Tigerland. Quickly, last game before we get into the bye. Adelaide, North Melbourne. Can we see North Melbourne any chance in this game?
Crows easily.
Is that a unanimous no for North?
You just can't write them off.
In final,
can't write 'em off.
I get what you mean in finals, but they've limped. They've won 3 out of the last 12 games.
Yeah, they're a bad football team.
Yeah.
And the Crows are a good football team, so
Yeah.
they should win the Crows. But you just can't write North off.
Yeah,
Like
in
even
finals.
with their youth movement of removing basically 4 of their premier players that have gotten on a bit of age, they themselves have said we've given up. On
Yeah,
any
pretty
chance of
much.
winning a
Pretty
premiership.
much.
I tell you what, North will either win by 1 point or the Crows will win by 100.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
accurate.
Good
Yeah,
submission.
I agree. Quickly, the bye. Geez, it was an awful weekend without any AFL, and who was anyone not annoyed by it?
Well, I'm a big NRL fan, so I
Yeah.
love the fact that everyone
Yeah.
was watching the Melbourne Storm
Yeah.
win the minor premiership. But I saw many angry Melburnians unhappy that their men's AFL wasn't up and about.
I personally, I didn't mind it. I thought I would really despise it because I was like, it's a really stupid idea. They're going to just suck away all the momentum. You get to round 23 and then the excitement ramps up. September's coming, footy's happening, and then, hang on, no. But then it was actually really good to have a bit of clear air. The VFL was quite good on the weekend.
VFL was publicised quite well.
Yeah, the VFL was quite good, and then the women's game, obviously, and I mean the EJ Witten game, if that's your bag. To give all that stuff a bit of clear air actually worked out pretty well, I reckon, and I wouldn't honestly be shocked to see the AFL do it again.
They won't do it again.
Looking at the numbers, the TV numbers for the Witten game, for the VFL, for the women's game, I'm just saying, don't rule it out.
Well, I don't think they will, because the coaches have spoken in an AFL media survey that was recently conducted and published in AFL Record. All 18 coaches wanted the bye gone.
Yep, I agree.
I reckon I could go another
TV
year.
money.
Yeah,
It talks louder than the coaches, my friend.
It does.
I
But
could go another year without a bye round if I get to see Richo give another spray to
No,
the AJ Witten game.
you know what? I miss Richo. I love him. I just love Richo. He's the best. But we'll move on. Talking about the bye, Ryan, you mentioned this. Melbourne Storm, it gave them centre stage to take out the minor premiership against Cronulla on Saturday night, a 26-6 win. Cronulla were second, so this was billed as one of the clashes of the season, and Storm ran away with this.
Yeah, they were too good in the end. Chase Blair scoring a double sort of helped settle the game in the first half. And it's great to see there was Tohu Harris's 100th game. He's been sort of a stalwart there for the past couple of years, the Melbourne Storm. And the Storm famously get up for those, those milestone games. Also, a big talking point, Vunivalu, the star rookie winger there for the Melbourne Storm, broke Melbourne's all-time single-season try record, scoring his 22nd try. And it's just ridiculous. Beat Israel Folau's record.
Yeah, and Billy Slater scored many, many tries in seasons before, but never gotten that high.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Billy Slater's best was 19, I'm pretty sure.
Does that sort of make them like a bit of a one-player team then, if they've got a bloke scoring that many tries, and they're not a heavy scoring side, Storm, are they?
Oh, yeah, we are. We're one of the best offenses in the league.
I don't think it makes them a one-player team, because look, you've got Cronk,
They
Smith.
did base this on their defence, though, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They had the league's best defence. But, I mean, when you've got a guy, Marika Korobidi, on the other side, who's possibly the league's best winger, like all-round package, it's hard to say that they're a one-player team.
That Chase Blair, he's an absolute unit.
Yeah, he was awesome on Saturday night and scored 2 tries, so it was fantastic. Cameron Smith, 10 points as well. And Tohu Harris had this to say. He spoke to Fox Sports after the game.
We've been trying to get more energy in our games and stuff, and it's something that, especially the last month or so, we've needed to work on. And I think right from the outset we showed that energy, and sort of we're lucky enough to build an early lead and try and hold it. So.
And we're talking about that, going back to just NRL in Melbourne, I think NRL needs the Melbourne Storm the Melbourne Storm doing well, because they've done well, barring the salary cap scandal, but they've done well, and it's created the publicity in Melbourne, and when they're doing well, people go. And
I think the sellout crowd at Amy Park kind of proved that.
Yeah, well, if they continue to do well, if they continue to provide a spectacle and get the players, Cronk, Smith, and Slater aren't going to be around forever. No. So they need to develop these players that are going to be the next big three, and they're starting to do that with. And Cameron Munster has been awesome this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking over for Billy Slater, and Tohu Harris as well, and Vunivalu has been awesome. So, I think you can really, I really like Melbourne Storm over the next few years, and we'll just go into the ladder really quickly, the final ladder. So Melbourne first, Canberra second, Cronulla dropped to third, and North Queensland last year's premiers fourth, Brisbane fifth, Penrith sixth, Canterbury seventh, and Gold Coast eighth. So the first week of finals will be Brisbane and Gold Coast in elimination final on Friday night. Saturday twilight will be the second and third, Canberra and Cronulla. Saturday night will be Melbourne versus North Queensland, and Sunday afternoon will be Penrith and Canterbury. So
I don't think I've seen a bigger sporting drop-off than Cronulla.
Yeah, they were doing so well. What was it, 13 in a row?
Yeah, 13 wins in a row.
I think they've lost 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, I think what's also hindered them is also that they've sort of lost that under the radar flag. As the wins kept building, teams started to take notice of them, and when you have a look at them, they sort of play a very simple game down the middle, and if you can roadblock that with some big plays, you should be able to settle them.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be an NRL and AFL grand finals will coincide over a weekend, so that's exciting as well. We'll get 2 grand finals in the same weekend. I love it when that happens, because Saturday you get AFL, then Sunday you get to watch the NRL, and hopefully Storm will be there. So it's going to be very exciting times ahead for the 2 sports. But we'll move on. The US Open, there's been a big upset this morning with Rafael Nadal being knocked out in the 4th round to 24th seed Frenchman Lucas Pouille, 6-1, 2-6, 6-4, 3-6, 7-6. His 3rd straight 5-setter there, Pouille, so he's playing some epic matches, and his 2nd straight Grand Slam quarterfinals. But, geez, Rafa Nadal did not expect him to go out.
Especially how clinically he's looked through in his first 3 games.
Yeah, well, he's straight sets through his first 3 matches against opponents that are quite good. Yeah. So that was Istomin, top 30 player. Seppi's been top 20, and Kuznetsov's had a great year. So really, really interesting to see Rafa go out, and I'm pretty stunned, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's interesting though. Rafa won in terms of stats. He won all the key indicators except probably the three that matter most. Winners, aces, and obviously the scoreboard. Lucas Boy had 59 winners to 53, 11 aces to 1, and of course he won on the scoreboard.
Yeah, well, you got to play power tennis, and Nadal usually does, but just he wasn't good enough. And this is what he had to say after his match. He spoke at a press conference.
I need to create more pain on the opponent with my shots, and was something that I didn't make it today, and he played well.
Yeah, I love his English. It's just adorable. It's adorable, but he just couldn't get there today.
Is there an argument to be made that he's on the way to being a spent force?
Well, we've said that a lot on Breakpoint, and I said earlier on in the year that he might have needed to take an extended period of time off, like Federer did. But then we sort of spoke about, like, if he did, would he be able to come back from that? So
if you had said that 2 days ago, I would have gotten really defensive. But he's gone and proved me wrong. Last week I thought he was been career best form.
Oh yeah,
how clinically he's looked for in his first three games.
Pouille did play well though. Nadal wasn't necessarily bad.
Well, Pouille has a habit of knocking over big players in tournaments as well. He's done it a few times in the Masters 1000.
Well, it's his fourth top 10 win this year, but his first ever top 5 win. He's beaten David Ferrer twice this year and knocked off Richard Gasquet earlier on in the year as well. So he's playing some really good tennis, Pouille, and I'm really excited. An all-French quarterfinal between Pouille and Gael Monfils, who got through this morning over another fan favourite, Marcos Baghdatis, 6-3, 6-2, 6-3, and Jo-Wilfried Tsonga also got through over Jack Sock, one of Josh's favourite boys.
Moving on.
Come on. You want to
We're not bringing it up.
He got it to 4 sets.
He did. He played well. Really disappointed to see it. Like, he played fantastic up until that fourth round. Really disappointing during the first 2 sets. Came back strong, and I thought after he won the third that he was going to fight, but dropped off in the fourth.
Couldn't, unfortunately. Just quickly, live score: Novak Djokovic up 2 sets to love, 6-2, 6-1 over British player Kyle Edmund in the fourth round there. So looking like the rest is going to suit him. Quickly on the women's side, Caroline Wozniacki. What an upset this is over Madison Keys, the number 8 seed, 6-3, 6-4.
I don't really think it's an upset. I thought Madison Keys has been awful.
Yeah, but Wozniacki even worse this year.
This year, I thought this tournament she's been...
she's been better, but...
I mean, not back to her world number 1, which didn't make any sense when it happened.
But I agree. It's definitely seriously, I couldn't see her beating Keys though. Sevastova as well, as you mentioned, knocking over Johanna Konta, first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal. Number 2 seed in Angelique Kerber in quest to get her world number 1 ranking over Petra Kvitova today, 6-2, 7-5, and Roberta Vinci, last year's finalist, over Serengo, 7-6, 6-2. I just want to get quickly into, there's no Aussies left in the draw. Nick Kyrgios was the last one. Rudy, your favourite man, Nick Kyrgios?
Yep. Yeah, and don't let anyone tell you he doesn't care about tennis. You saw him crying on the court when he was injured.
Was he really crying about tennis though?
What do you reckon? What do you want from him? What do you want from him?
I want him to show a bit of passion.
He's showing a bit of passion. No, he's literally crying on the court. What do you want from him?
Because he was hurt.
Yeah, because he was hurt, not because he was out of the tournament.
But he was hurt, and then that led to him being out of the tournament. What on earth do you want from him?
He doesn't care. He does not care.
You can't defend him when he goes on Twitter saying, "I don't care."
Yeah.
If he had won that tournament, he was going to retire there on the spot.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was sort of hoping he would.
Yeah.
So
this is a 21-year-old. He's our best tennis player, and you're literally hoping he retires?
Yep.
Are you like...
Well, how does he think he can threaten sport by saying he can retire like at 21?
Everyone knows that he's not like... He doesn't love tennis. Like, everyone knows that he's not...
And he should.
Why should he? Why does he have to?
He's blessed with this natural talent that so many
you
people
don't have to love the
would
sport.
love to have.
So what?
You don't have to love the sport. Ricky Ponting famously hates cricket.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he did. After he retired, he came famously and said he hates playing cricket.
That's just definitely not the case. I don't think there's a person in the world that loves cricket more than Ricky Ponting.
I'm telling you. I'll find the quote. I'll get the quote and I'll send it to you.
Don't tell me about Ricky Ponting. I know everything about Ricky Ponting. Trust me. He definitely loves cricket. He's a cricket nuffy. We're losing track of the thing here. Kyrgios, I think,
he's got no passion for the game.
He's got no passion for the game. He was... I don't know what you want to say.
He's winning.
Do you want him to get a tattoo of a tennis racket on his back?
In his second round match, he's winning 2 sets to love, and he's shaking his head, swearing, getting upset. What have you got to be upset about?
That's not the point.
That's how
when he was in Wimbledon, he was playing COD at 2 a.m. instead of preparing
and he's
for
playing
his next
Pokemon,
match.
and he's playing Pokemon late at night in New York.
He's 21 years old. What are you doing at 2 in the morning?
You're playing a Grand Slam.
He's playing. Why should we?
Look at Lucas Pouille. He's 22, and look, he's just beaten Rafa Nadal. And look at other guys like Kyle Edmund.
99% of the people under 21
Look at Alexander Zverev. Look at Dominic Thiem. They're all young kids.
I just want to see him show some respect. In his first round match, he didn't even shake the chair's hand. That's disgusting.
I think what he needs is less people to tell him to retire and more people to just help him out a bit.
They're trying.
Treat him like a baby.
He needs better coaching. He needs better people in his setup than
that's
what
his
got.
own
He
fault.
needs someone to.
He's not going to hire his own coach.
Yeah. Well, the story from this match should be Ilya Marchenko getting through to the fourth round.
Did you see the design on his shirt?
Who's Marchenko?
Yeah. He had like the red, white, and blue stripes.
Oh,
he had
yeah,
like
I did.
A skull on it as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I think he was making a bit of a statement.
Nah, that's the brand.
That's the brand.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the brand. But this is what Kyrgios had to say in his press conference after the match.
It's never easy, of course. I've got a lot of belief in my game to still win matches where I'm not feeling great, but and the guy's like his strength is to make balls and move you around. It's not great. To be fair, my hip was bothering me my first two matches, and I got through. I guess it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, there always seems to be something wrong, doesn't there, Nick? And John McEnroe came out after the match and said, Nick Kyrgios, if you don't want to be a professional tennis player, do something else. And you know what? I agree. Go to uni.
Like
You're
John
21.
Millman and Jordan Thompson.
So would I. John Millman should be the face of Australian tennis.
Or Tanasi.
Yeah, or Tanasi Kokkinakis.
Yeah.
But
what? Like you've got this guy that's like kids relate to, and you want to make John Millman the face of Australian tennis?
He respects the game. He's one of the best blokes you'll ever know.
He's what a tennis player should be.
Yeah, exactly. He's a quintessential tennis player.
He fights and he shows respect.
Yeah, exactly. He's got great sportsmanship. So we'll move on from there. You can hear more of this on Breakpoint Podcast.
I'm not invited, am I? So you probably won't hear more of this.
Well, yeah, you might hear a bit of a Kyrgios bash. But
Could get Rudy as a special guest on.
Yeah, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome to. But we'll move on to the F1 in Italy last night. Nico Rosberg continued his domination. He's won again, looked very, very comfortable. Lewis Hamilton, after a really poor start, went to 6th by the first corner, came 2nd. Sebastian Vettel 3rd, Kimi Raikkonen 4th, and Australian Daniel Ricciardo finished in 5th. He made a really good pass over Valtteri Bottas last night. That was brilliant.
That was just mind-blowing to watch the way he sort of conceived that and the way he snuck up on the other bloke and passed.
I still have the belief that regardless of the car, that he is the best driver in the world.
I wouldn't say best driver. He's definitely top 3 or 4.
I'm adamant that I feel like he's the best driver in the world.
Yeah, I think with the car, it's really annoying because you've got guys like Fernando Alonso who's in a McLaren. They're not competitive. You've got Rosberg and Hamilton dominating in a good car, and then you've got Vettel and Raikkonen trying to toy away in their Ferraris. So, I think there's probably about 7 of them. If you put them in the same car, I'd love to see them all go head to head.
Well, that's the thing with the stats that prove that, especially when he was racing against Vettel, that Ricciardo, when he was at Toro Rosso doing practice in his own car, he was beating Vettel every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, in the Red Bull, 100%. But quickly, the podium last night, the race wasn't the most interesting, but the podium, Nico Rosberg and the Italians, they blended together beautifully, but the Italians know how to put on a spectacle. You could see all the way down the main straight on the podium. It was loud, there were flares going everywhere, and this is what Rosberg did.
Grazie mille, troppo bello, proviamolo.
And that was credit to Sky there. And if you want the Italians to love you, start singing Seven Nation Army.
I can see Bessart Brusha saluting in my mind's eye whenever I hear that.
Awesome.
At least we know Nico's a Victory fan. Actually, I'm pretty sure he was at a Victory game last season.
He was.
That's cool.
But that was awesome there. And the podium from Italy is always one of the best moments of the season. Quickly, championship standings, all the same, but the battle of the 1 and 2, Hamilton 250 points, Rosberg 248. Gap is closed. There's 6 races left in the season. Constructor standings, Mercedes miles ahead. They've doubled
Have
Red
they
Bulls.
won yet?
Pretty much. They've doubled Red Bull.
Yeah.
So there's not much. There's not long to go in that competition there. Quickly, we'll go to the Socceroos though. Knocked off Iraq 2-0 on Thursday night. They were very good. The first half was quite tight. They missed a couple of opportunities, but as soon as Massimo Luongo got on the scoreboard, Socceroos looked dominant, didn't they, Joel?
Yeah, well, the first half, they were quite sluggish. Iraq kind of did take the typical defensive travelling mentality, park the bus. But the Socceroos did eventually get on top. Mass Luongo opened the scoring. Tommy Juric, he missed an absolutely gaping chance, empty net, half a metre out. But fair play to him. He overcame that disappointment and nabbed an assist and a goal. So good win to start off the next phase of qualifying for the Socceroos ahead of UAE on Tuesday night, which is going to be quite a test.
Yeah, extremely hot over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
they're a good side. They just beat Japan.
Beat Japan 2-1. Did you see that?
In Japan. No, I didn't.
There was a contentious moment in that match where the ball
went
went over the line for Japan. It should have been 2-2. But there was no goal line technology, and the ref called it no goal. So Japan got a little bit robbed there.
I don't understand how there isn't goal line technology, isn't it?
Oh,
2016.
it's frustrating, isn't it? We're in such a modern time with this Hawkeye with so many things now, and it's not that hard to put the goal line technology there. We saw it in the World Cup, and it was quite successful.
It's just expensive at the moment. That's all.
Yeah, I think
with the money FIFA makes,
it'd be purely this isn't FIFA, this is the AFC, and it would be purely a money thing.
But I would say that win though from the UAE that puts Japan significantly behind the 8 ball because Australia, Japan, and the UAE are the 3 big teams in this group.
And Saudi Arabia as well.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia dangerous, but if you can win. You've got to win your home games in Asian qualifying, given the distance. But if you can not only get a point from your away games, but if you can win them, you are in the box seat to qualify.
Any team that beats Japan in Japan is that's
huge result.
That's a serious win, and they're a good side. UAE, I saw them at the Asian Cup.
Semi-finals.
Really decent number 10. That Omar is a star.
Omar Abdul Rahman, Ahmed Khalil, and Ali Mabkut, 3 guns to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. So the UAE, very, very dangerous. So that's on Tuesday, but Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
Yeah,
what
midnight.
time? Midnight. And Robbie Cruz was quite pleased after the game. So this is what he had to say after the match to the FFA.
It was we knew what they were going to do. Park the bus, if you want to say that, and we knew we'd break them down eventually. It's tough to run for 90 minutes, and we did that, and it was important to start the campaign off with a win.
Robbie Cruz very, very happy to start the second round of qualifying. And if they get through this, they're in the World Cup in Russia in 2018. So exciting stuff there for the Socceroos. Great way to start things off. Just quickly before we go, the Crickets, the Australians ended their tour. Have we got 2020s against Sri Lanka?
There's two 2020s.
Yep, so we ended the one-day series against Sri Lanka with a 4-1 win, winning by 5 wickets overnight. David Warner, he was supreme, 106 as captain.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Good on him. It's interesting. The one-day stuff is probably his worst format.
Definitely.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's always good to see him scoring tons. And I mean, it wasn't a huge chase, but it still had to be navigated. He did,
exactly.
Did it well.
Yep.
And just quickly as well, Mitchell Starc at one-day level is pretty much a cheat code.
Yeah,
to be honest.
essentially.
12 wickets in the 5 games.
He's brilliant.
He
and
just hits the stumps constantly.
Yep. He's the best bowler in the world at one day and 2020 level.
100%, no questions asked.
Limited overs cricket, he's brilliant. They won the series 4-1, the Australians, and I reckon one day cricket, unfortunately, we can play there in the one day is in the subcontinent, we just can't play.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget. We were pretty poor and really non-competitive in the tests.
Yeah.
But it's easy to forget that Australia is still the best one-day cricket side in the world by some way. They bat so deep. They have so many bowling options.
And Travis Head was awesome last night
Travis
as well.
Head, he took that wicket that probably wasn't. That LBW that the bloke really smashed, to be honest. I don't know how it didn't get overturned on review. But it's probably the best one-day. So definitely still the best one-day side in the world. It's easy to forget when the test side is so bad.
Yeah, well, especially in the subcontinent. And you mentioned George Bailey before. Coming into the series of India next year, I don't think anybody's looking forward to that. But can he help in any way?
Well, I mean, he's a decent player of spin. He's a level head. He's a good bloke around the dressing room. I think Australia could definitely do worse, as proven by the recent Test series where they did much worse. I would look at him for sure.
What about Matthew Wade? Good player of spin. Keeping, I'd put Neville, but he can bat.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about our wicket-keeping stocks, to be honest. Wade's been tried at Test level. He pretty much cost us a series against South Africa 4 years ago. I'm not sure if anyone else remembers that.
No, I remember that, yep.
His keeping is probably just not good enough to
no, I mean, as a batsman.
As a batsman, as a batsman, but I'm not sure he's good enough as a bat to be in the side. On strength of his batting.
Is there anyone Adam Gilchrist's number?
Oh, how good would that be? I don't mind Neville as a wicket keeper. So, and I think he's been solid since he came into the side at the Ashes series last year. So, just batting wise, hasn't really done what we want from him. But I think in the future he'll be quite a good keeper. I think his keeping skills are very good, and he's been lauded by guys like Gilchrist and Ian Healy as well. So I reckon
Brad Haddon as well.
Pardon?
And Brad Haddon.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it for the final score today. Rudy, Josh, Ryan, and Joel. It's been good to have all 5 of us together today, and there was some awesome discussion today. I really enjoyed that. And Anna Harrington as well from Fox Footy talking about the women's footy on Saturday night. It was an awesome show today, and we'll be back with you the final score. Can't speak today. At 1 p.m. next Monday afternoon. I'm Val Febo. Hope everybody has a lovely day and a lovely week.
City. Look out! Puts it the right edge. Jordan Rapallo.
And it's Murray's time in the sunshine of centre court once again.
He's got it.